Hey, you're listening to the Smoke Meat Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pittman. We're brought to you by Joe's Underground at the corner of 8th and Broad in Augusta, Georgia. Great place, great people, great food, great drinks. Going down to see Jeremy at the gang in Augusta at Joe's Underground at the corner of 8th and Broad in the bottom of the Lamar building. Tonight we got a special edition podcast. We have one of the hosts of the Heavyweight Chumps Podcast, Jason Mattox, joining us tonight. We're going to talk wrestling, podcasting, just a little bit of everything. So everybody get ready, get in your seats. You paid for the whole thing, but you're just going to need the edge here on Smoked Meat. How's it going today, Mattox?
Man, it's going. Everything's still kind of halfway in lockdown around here, but aside from that, everything's doing pretty well.
Yeah, about the same here, man. About the same here. I'm ready for all this stuff to be done with.
Well, the walls are closing in on me, and I got a pretty good-sized house.
Oh, dude, you ought to be quarantining your basement. That's what I've been doing for the last 2 months.
Did your wife stick you in the basement?
I stuck myself down here. She won't come down here. Her or the kids, they do not like our basement.
Well, that's not that's not quarantine. That's vacation.
You ain't kidding. But I'm sleeping down here, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah, that could get old.
Nice king-size bed upstairs and nice twin-size air mattress downstairs.
Oh, God. Yeah, I can understand that getting old real fast.
Oh, man. But, yeah, I'm so high risk, that I don't want to get them sick. So I voluntarily did it. But
see, I'm in luck in a situation where it's just me and the wife, but my wife works at a nursing home, so that's, we have to deal with that too.
Yeah, mine too.
I've got frontline people in the family. Dad works in a grocery store, so this weekend was one of the first weekends I actually got out of the house and just went to pick something up and just riding through close to Memphis, and you could see these idiots are not paying attention to this 6-foot rule. That there were patios with Mexican joints just absolutely packed.
Oh, dude, that's the first thing I'm going to do when the all clear is sounded and everything's back to normal. Yeah, about 75 pounds worth of queso. It's on. It's on.
Think like me.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily, the Mexican restaurants around us have opened, so we actually did sneak into one and have lunch that day.
No. Well, our restaurants are starting to open more, which a lot of them never closed, but that you just couldn't stay in there. And
right, just the curbside or delivery.
Yeah. Yep, that kind of sucks.
It's not the same when you can get get the queso delivered and you can't get the margaritas about every 30, 40 minutes.
Exactly.
And quite frankly, who wants to be their own bartender?
Well, I have been, and I'm a very generous tipper with myself. I know that, so I pour heavy.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm a heavy pourer. That's kind of become my problem during this quarantine.
Now, I've been pretty good. I've got some bourbon here at the house, and I haven't drank it, but I've cooked with it.
Well, see, I have a problem in that my podcast has a vodka sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have bottles of vodka sitting around at your disposal, you tend to just drink one.
Well, I was about to ask what the problem is there.
Oh, there's no problem. It just, you start looking and the number of bottles in the case starts decreasing. You're just...
Oh, man. So we're going to give your vodka sponsor a plug on here. Who is your vodka sponsor?
We work with a guy he is out of Oxford. It is Artist Vodka. They are completely organic. They use farro wheat, and then they use water out of the Cascades over in Washington State, and it is made by a guy that was actually a French-trained distiller. Nice. It is, if you serve it just chilled, you don't need to mix it with anything.
Oh, man, that's awesome, because I love some vodka.
It's one of those drinks that, I'm a vodka drinker, and Grey Goose was always my vodka of choice. But since I've had this, I won't go back to Grey Goose.
I've always liked Hammer and Sickle. Have you tried it?
No, I have not.
It's good, but I want to try this. I'm going to
tell you, it's a good one. And you can order it through his website, which is just artistvodka.com.
Cool. I'll make sure I put that in the show notes for everybody, too.
All right.
Yep. And I hear you got another great sponsor just coming up.
Well, we haven't even recorded the advertisement for the guy yet, but it's a company called Sauced in the South. They make a margarita mix, a Bloody Mary mix with horseradish. Then they do 3 different kinds of hot sauces.
Nice.
And the margarita mix is what I picked up over the weekend. That's how I just picked up a bottle when I got a bottle of bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
And all that's in the only ingredients in that stuff, you have lime juice, lemon juice, orange juice, and pressed sugar cane. That's all that's in that mix.
That's awesome.
It is, you go, standard 1.5 ounce, 2 ounce shot and match it even with your amount of mix, and you can't taste the liquor.
Man, that is awesome.
It gets dangerous.
Yeah. Well, the hot sauce, if you wind up having a surplus of hot sauce, I'll give you my address.
There's a good chance I will definitely be getting your info off the air, because I'll definitely send you some to try, because he makes one of the hot sauces is a Bloody Mary XXX. They use the Bloody Mary mix as the base.
Oh, you have.
And then they make it extra hot. And I'm sitting there going, well, that just means make 1 Bloody Mary out of the bottle and then pour one of those bottles of hot sauce over in there, and you make a hot and spicy.
Nice. Oh, yeah, because, I do hot a lot. If you've ever watched any of my videos, you'll see some of the stuff I've had that's
don't
ridiculous.
Get me started on your Joe Exotic video. Good God.
That one was so much fun to do, but those jelly beans, they were bad. That skunk spray, dude,
my nieces and nephews did that to me a couple of summers ago. They came in. I've got family. My wife has a brother and sister that live in Texas, and they come in a week during the summer. And their kids had those things, and I got the one that was dog food.
Oh, dude, that one is horrible.
That was the most disgusting thing I think I have ever tasted.
Oh, I don't know how they get these flavors so spot on, but the spoiled milk one.
I want to know who has to be the one to taste the stuff that actually is spoiled milk or dog food to make sure they get it right.
Oh, it's probably that they probably, instead of writing you up for being late so many times, you go be the taster for the day. I bet everybody there's like 45 minutes early.
How much you want to bet I'd be looking at them going, no, you just fire me, bro.
Yeah. Oh, dude, they're horrible, but it's so much fun. Just that video was a lot of fun to do, and all of it was one take, and it was all improv. I didn't have any of that planned.
Oh God, we didn't do a live. We should have done a video for this, but we didn't. We did on one of our Christmas episodes back in December. I ordered a lot of little weird flavored candy canes. Like they had a kale flavored, they had a macaroni and cheese flavor. And I ordered like 5 or 6 different flavors, and I had my co-host taste test them, and he had to guess what the flavors were. And he gets mad because every time there's a taste test, I always tell him, you got to do it.
Nice.
Well, he doesn't talk on the radio. He's not as vocal as I am. I have to carry a lot of the show. So I figure if I'm going to do most of the talking, he's got to do the eating.
I love the candy canes. I'm going to have to find some of those now.
Go to Amazon and you will be just amazed at the flavors you can find.
Oh, man, yeah, I did a list when all this stuff first came out, and I posted it, and I told it. I put a note on there. All right, anybody that orders anything off this list, it comes direct to me, and I'll do it in a video, and I'll use whichever character I do that you want, and do what you want to do. And only 2 things have come off the list so far. One was the Bean Boozled Extreme, which was all bad jelly beans.
Ugh.
And the same person also ordered the Toe of Satan. Have you heard of this thing?
No.
Dude, it's a lollipop. And it is just straight Reaper extract. It's 9 million Scoville units.
Good God.
Now, I have eaten a Reaper. Reaper's hot. Reaper, it'll tell you.
Yeah, a Reaper in itself is hot enough. If you concentrate it down, I'd hate to know how bad it is.
Well, I've got a character named Wayne. I don't know if you've seen Wayne or not. The guy with the big mustache and the big kind of 70s hair and the Hawaiian shirt. And this is Wayne's voice, baby. Wayne is he's all about the love. And,
no, I hadn't seen Wayne. I'm about to go look him up.
Oh, yeah, dude. Go to my YouTube. It's Brad's Comedy, all one word.
Will do.
And Wayne is so awesome. But she wanted Wayne to eat that while he was reading The Little Engine That Could.
No.
So Wayne decided to. Guess what? The little engine couldn't.
Let me tell you something. Don't ever take these kind of challenges during a toilet paper shortage.
Oh, we're not short. I'm a prepper.
We're not short either, but I also for a while had a bidet sponsor, so we were covered. Nice. But I tell you, that thing, usually if you're eating something hot, it kind of builds a little bit. When I put that thing in my mouth, it's like sticking my tongue to the cigarette lighter of a 77 Pinto. Oh, God.
Dude, I lasted probably a minute and a half at the most. That was, oh, dude. It was bad. It was worse than the heat balls that I did.
No, that ain't no way.
I made meatballs that I used regular beef and some hot sausage, some habanero powder, Scotch bonnet powder, ghost powder, and Reaper powder, plus some fresh cut up jalapenos and habaneros. And I've got a...
Do you not like your asshole?
Oh, dude. I've abused my body so bad over the years as a paramedic, it don't phase it. But I've got a character named Rupert. He's a chef. And this is Rupert's voice. And Rupert has a big, huge Freddie Mercury mustache. Rupert is awesome. Well, Rupert ate those while reading the children's book, Brenda's Beaver Needs a Barber.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Nobody likes a hot beaver.
And I did not break character once. I was very proud of that one.
Oh, there's no way I could do that. No. See, my co-host has a character that he used to do in wrestling, and the guy's name, he was a white guy, and the name of the character is the Ghetto Fabulous Jerry Curl. And I have been trying to talk him into doing a Ghetto Fabulous Jerry Curl's Funhouse, like we could do him reading children's stories and things in character. And the first thing we talked about was doing Humpty Dumpty, and he goes, I'll do it, but only if we can cut in some of Digital Underground, so when I go Humpty, I can add in pronounce with a umpty.
Now, I'll tell you, you know how to do that without trademark infringement. You cannot play the entire song. And you have to do
up to 10 seconds.
And you have to use editorialize it. Say something about it, and you're gold.
Okay.
Yep. But just to be safe, look up fair use copyright, and it'll tell you. Because when my brother died, I did a show for him I just called it Andy, because that was his name, and it started out with Leonard Skinner's Ballad of Curtis Lowe for about 30 seconds, and ended with about 30 seconds of Freebird. But that's how I did it.
Nice.
Yeah. So check into that, because if that's the only thing holding him back, we can fix that.
Oh, no question.
Oh, yeah.
That's something I'm definitely going to check out, because now I'm going to force him to do it.
And if he won't do the character, tell him loan me the character.
Oh,
because I have got a wig.
That's an idea.
I have got a wig that would be perfect for this character.
You have a trunk, don't you?
Dude, around Halloween, especially when it's over, because I'm so cheap, I'll go to the Halloween stores when everything's like 75% off. And dude,
you do like we do at Christmas. We buy all our new Christmas decorations the year before on clearance.
We've got 4 freaking Christmas trees because of that crap.
Oh no, I won't buy another tree, but I'll buy decorations.
Oh, dude, my wife is an elf. But yeah, our wife.
Did you say an elf?
She is an elf. She loves some Christmas. Oh man, she's a tall elf, but she's an elf.
You know, we were gone so much last year around Christmas. We didn't even put a tree up.
Oh man. Yeah, my daughter put hers up the week before Christmas, and we put ours up. I mean, the week before Thanksgiving, excuse me. And I think we put ours up the day after Thanksgiving.
The day after Thanksgiving to me was always the rule, and then I started seeing people on Facebook putting them up on like Halloween. I'm like, what the hell are you people doing?
Oh, my wife bought us a tree that's black. We're doing a Halloween tree this year. I'm happy.
Nice touch.
I told her, I said, if you weren't my wife, I'd hug you.
But who gets to be on top of the tree?
Oh, I've got a skull.
Okay.
I have a skull. I'm ready for Halloween, the season to start getting here so I can do my Damien character again. Damien was a lot of fun. Damien is the old goth guy who is way too old to be goth. And his voice is something like this, almost like from the Monster Mash, but not as classy. And he kills me because he reads fairy tales and children's stories.
He sounds like a martini sipping goth.
Oh, he is amazing. He's got a little teddy bear skeleton that's Rupert. No, not Rupert. What's his? I can't remember the bear's name. I got to remember that. But that's his spirit guide.
Oh Lord.
But oh yes, and the clown character I've got. You would love the clown character, Murray. Oh, and Murray is the worst clown in the world. Murray drinks a fifth of bourbon every time he gets on the air. He chugs.
Go Murray.
And this is Murray's voice. But
Murray sounds like you picked him up at a truck stop.
Oh, dude, Murray, somebody dumped his tail off at a truck stop. Oh man, he is so bad as a clown. He's awesome. I do magic as Murray, and it's actually real magic I do, and balloon animals, because I do about 300 different balloon animals. But yeah,
now see, that scares me a little.
I am a certified clown.
You've actually been trained.
Yes, I have been trained.
Did you go to clown college?
I went to the Georgia Fire Academy and took alternative teaching methods. And then I became a teacher for that, and I was the president of the Georgia Firefighters Clown Society for a year. Yep.
So if anybody just flat out says that guy's just a clown, they're telling the truth.
Exactly. But yeah,
good Lord.
I love doing these characters, man. And you get ready to start doing video again, let me know. I'll green screen them for you.
Oh, I will. That's definitely something that's on our agenda. As a matter of fact, I was sitting down before you called and just kind of going over a list of things I needed to do over the next few days because we don't have any. I have one recording scheduled, and that's I'll record with Killer Bees on Thursday, but I have nothing the rest of the week. So I'm sitting there going, okay, that means I can finally get caught up on this.
Yep.
And then you look at it and go, there's no way in hell I can get this all done in a couple of days.
You're going to have a ball with Bees. He is so amazing.
Can't wait. I can't wait. Just the pre-interview conversation we had, like I said off air, he seems like just such a genuinely nice guy.
He is. He is so great. He is so.
I've had there are a few comedians that I could probably get you in touch with too that I think you'd have a good time with.
Hey, send them my way, man. I'll
you interviewed Reno, right?
Yeah, I got Reno, and I got John Caparulo. Cap was a lot of fun. And
Cap is on my list. I'd like to talk to him at some point.
I'll get you some information off there.
Okay. There's a guy that's actually from Memphis that used to do when Kevin Hart did the Heart of the City TV series where he did Heart of the City Memphis, and this guy was one of the regulars on there, and he's done our show probably 3 times. His name's Mo Alexander.
That name is very familiar.
He actually, if you used to watch the old version of Bill Maher's show,
mm-hmm.
He actually was on the Bill Maher show a couple of times.
Okay.
Just a funny guy, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, he does not give a shit. He's got a joke on one of his CDs where he talks about Patron is his liquor of choice. And he went to this little dive bar somewhere, I forget, it was I almost want to call it BFE, but I mean, it's pretty close to there. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have any kind of quality tequila. Even they didn't even have Cuervo.
Oh man.
So he was doing shots of Wild Turkey 151. He said, I have learned that I can do an hour and a half, 2-hour comedy show and drink a fifth of Patron, and I'm okay. I cannot however, do 12 shots of 151 Wild Turkey while I am on stage and still be okay. He said, I woke up the next day butt naked in my hotel room with a turkey feather sticking out of my ass. And it turns out, I had to ask him, I'm like, did that really happen? He said, yes. He said, the opener that goes out with him actually had gone on a nature hike and found a turkey feather. And came back and did that to him and then woke him up. And I said, I guess you're just lucky enough he didn't put it in far enough you could have written with it. At which point he goes, you, sir, are disgusting. I like you.
He sounds like my kind of people.
He's good people. I'll tell you what, let me reach out to him, see if it's okay to pass his number along, and I'll send it to you.
Okay. That'll work. That will work. See, that's one thing I love about podcasting. And, some people think, okay, these two do a podcast, but they're interviewing each other. To me, this is teamwork. My listeners may not have heard of Heavyweight Chumps, which I don't know if both of my listeners have not heard of them. It's a miracle. And yours may not have heard of mine, but now we're getting it where we're networking and we're spreading the love to everybody. And
exactly.
That's a wonderful thing. It's not a competition, it's a team. And that's what makes me happy.
And by the way,
if
you haven't listened to the Heavyweight Chumps, we are on air on radio-memphis.com every Tuesday night beginning at 10 p.m. Central Time.
Outstanding. I couldn't have said it better myself.
I've done that so many times now, it just comes out. God help me when they change our time, because they're talking about moving us up an hour to get us into a better time slot. Uh-huh. And I'm sitting there going, come on, I'm pulling good numbers at 10 o'clock. Just leave me in that safe harbor space so I don't have to watch my mouth.
There you go. Exactly.
But I'm going to tell you, getting into podcasting, and I started the podcast, my co-host and I started a little over, January of next year will be 3 years. Mm-hmm. So about 2.5 years. And it has been an uphill climb, but it has been a lot of fun. The one thing that, that tickled me was the way we got on radio was actually just a goof. Mm-hmm. The owner of Radio Memphis was a DJ on Rock 103, which was one of the bigger stations in Memphis for probably 20 years. And he left and started the internet radio station. And I used to be an emailer and a caller to his afternoon show on Rock 103, and I kept in touch with him over Facebook. So I'm looking at my list, and I'm going, I could use a guest for here. So I said, you know what, I'm going to reach out and see if Rick would do it, because I'd like to hear about, stuff that used to go on at 103 and get the story on why he left and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I reach out, and he goes, oddly enough, I've been listening to your show, and I was going to send you a message. He said, you want to come do my show the next week, and we'll just swap off as guest. I said, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So we do the interview with Rick. It goes great. Rick and I get along fantastically. He's a Dickel drinker himself. Mm-hmm. And he's on the air with us, and he goes, you got any other questions for me, boys? And I said, yeah, can we have a damn job? And we went to do his show the next week and left there in development of a radio show.
Nice.
So sometimes, folks, the stupid question can lead to something.
I have no filters, man. Them stupid questions, like I say, they have gone a long way.
It surprises me stupid questions get how far they'll get you. I mean, I will say this. I had one. Okay, you tell me why.
Because it catches people off guard. They're thinking, okay, he's either really, really stupid or he's got balls. But either way, it's gonna be a fun ride. Let's do this.
Yeah, and the only time I ever felt like I asked a really stupid question in an interview I had George C. Romero. George Romero's son.
Mm-hmm.
And I posed the question, so, do you prefer the slow-moving zombies or the fast-moving zombies? And his response is, are you serious right now? I'm like, well, not if you don't want to answer it. But he turned out to be a great interview. He was a great guy, too. I can honestly say I've only had one guest that didn't make it. Well, two guests that never made it to air.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is a wrestling promoter who did TV around here in the late 90s, early 2000s. And he did the entire damn interview in character, and he kept cutting me off and just chopped the interview up so bad it sounded like crap. I'm like, I'm not running that. Like, I'm not running an interview that makes it look like he was running the show. That's not happening.
Yeah.
And then the other would be, okay, did you ever watch any ECW?
I did.
Fonzie. Great interview with Fonzie, and would have run it except for one thing. Middle of the interview, he flushed the toilet. I'm like, he was taking a crap while we were doing this interview. I am not running this because there's a flush in the middle.
See, during the first part, you just thought he was doing his Macho Man imitation.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah. Me and RVD were going down to Philly, man.
Oh, man. You see, unless it was really, really, really obvious, I probably would have ran that just to see who caught it.
No, it was obvious.
Oh, man. No, I couldn't have done that one then. But if it was real subtle, I'd have had to run it just to see who caught it and sent me a message going, was he taking a dive?
You might be right. And I may very well try to get him back on and redo that.
Send him some of the hot sauce.
Send him one of them suckers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we'll do the entire interview on the toilet and he can flush when we get off the air.
Nice. Well, I tell you, one question I've got about Heavyweight Chumps, you being from Memphis, tell me you have had him on. You
the
know,
King?
The King.
I have not.
Oh, man.
Not for lack of trying, but he has his own podcast. And he's under WWE contract, so you have to go through their publicity department to get him now.
Mm-hmm.
We're still working on it. He actually lives not too far from the owner of the station, and he's trying to kind of work something out for me. But I have worked probably 5 or 6 wrestling shows with Lawler before I actually got out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Including one night I was managing against him. And the guy I was managing was out there and just they had an ambulance backed into the National Guard Armory. And he throws this guy into the ambulance, and the back window on the ambulance actually broke.
Ooh.
And they were like, ooh, the hospital's not going to be happy with us about that.
Yeah, they get a little cranky on that.
Yeah, but Lawler's one of those, it's always funny when you come into the locker room because he always got there generally right before the intermission, just in time to set up a table and sell merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
He worked his match right after intermission, packed up his shit, and he was gone. He'd be in the building a total of maybe 40 minutes.
Oh, man.
And it was, I worked a couple of shows with Brian Christopher as well. The one being from Memphis, the one guy I did an interview with that I've said I will never interview again. When I was in college with the newspaper there, I had the chance to interview Bill Dundee.
Mm-hmm.
And my 19-year-old self realized pretty quick that Bill Dundee was an asshole, and I won't talk to him again.
I understand.
I mean, it's just, but then you got other people like Handsome Jimmy Valiant, who I've worked, probably 15 to 20 shows with. I could go to a show. I actually went to a show in Tunica at one of the casinos. It was a Memphis reunion show. They had Cornette coming in with Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never seen Cornette or the Midnight Express in person. Now, granted, it wasn't the version of the Midnight Express I was particularly a fan of, but close as I was going to get.
Yeah.
So I decided we would go. My wife and I were actually front row. During one of the matches, I get out and I'm going over towards the bathroom in the back. And Jimmy sees me and he goes, "Hey, brother." And I said, "Hey, man." He goes, "You still working for Kenny?" He was a promoter down in Batesville. I said, "Well, when he does a show, I do, but he hadn't done one in a while, so I hadn't really done anything." And he says, "Well, what are you doing right now, man?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "Well, come on to the back and let me introduce you to everybody." So he takes me to the back of a show I'm not even working. Now, granted, I knew, of course, both of the Rock and Roll Express were there. I had worked shows with them.
Mm.
I knew Brian. I knew Tommy Rich and Doug Gilbert. So I knew probably a third of the locker room from working on the Indies. But he introduced me to Sid Vicious.
Nice.
And Sid, I'm like eye to peck maybe with Sid. And he goes, "You look like you want to say something." I said, "Uh-huh." He goes, "You scared too?" I said, "Uh-uh." He said, "What do you want to say?" I said, "You a big son bitch." And he just fell out laughing. Of course, I honestly think he was stoned off his ass.
I'll tell you.
And it wouldn't surprise me because that was about 3 weeks after he got popped going across the bridge with marijuana.
Yeah, it happens. I'll tell you, I've been backstage at a lot of different wrestling events. We used to work them on the ambulance, and the locker room is such a fun place. It is so
God,
neat.
yes.
You see who really likes each other and who really does not.
You better believe it.
And the ones that don't, really don't.
There was a guy in the locker room that I just particularly, he rubbed me the wrong way. He was somebody that he'd been in the business a while. They were working the show in my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the back talking to these guys, and this guy walks up to me and he goes, "Hey, kid." I don't pay him any attention. I don't figure he's talking to me, so I keep having the conversation with the guys I usually work with every Friday night. And he goes, "Hey, kid, get over here and take off my boots." I looked up and I said, "Who are you talking to?" He said, "You." I said, "Who the hell are you calling kid?" He goes, "You." I said, "Let me tell you something." I said, "You're in my hometown. If you think I'm taking your boots off, you can kiss my ass right now." And two of the guys who were, one of them being Brickhouse Brown, who I'd worked with many times, stands up and goes, "You don't mess with Mattox, and you damn sure ain't messing with him here." But see, the reason they said that is the guy that was in charge of renting out the National Guard Armory and I were in civic clubs together. I could have ruined their chances of getting booked again.
Yeah.
So, and it turns out they didn't even need my help. They got banned about a month later because they had an ice cream battle royal. And they didn't clean up when they left.
Ooh.
So you can imagine how bad that stunk on Monday morning when the guard people got in there.
Oh, man.
And this was in a newly opened armory. It'd been open maybe 6 months.
Ooh.
Yeah. So they quit letting anybody in the state of Mississippi run National Guard armories for several years.
And oddly enough, those are some of the best shows. Those small house shows like that are some of the greatest shows. You can fit 300 to 400
people in them, and those people really want to be there. And the crowd can make a show, even if the show's not worth a damn.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's so much fun. And I remember going to the promoter and going, "All right, I'm turning heel." He goes, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to turn heel." "In your hometown?" "Yeah. I figure if I can get them to hate me here, I can do it anywhere." And I went out there, and by the time I was supposed to have actually announced for the main event.
Mm-hmm.
And they had put me in as a special referee, or they were doing an I Quit match. So they put me in the ring in a folding chair holding the microphone to hold up the guy to say I quit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when the bad guy had the good guy in a submission hold, I walked over there and held it up and kind of muttered, "I quit." And they ring the bell, and the bad guy manager that everybody hates comes out and slips me an envelope, and I go on to the back. I couldn't go back out to call the last. I was the last person to leave the building. And they said, "Are you scared?" I said, "Hell no, that means I just did my job." and did it well. I ran into one of the guys that was at the show in the grocery store about 3 weeks later. He looks at me and goes, "You ain't nothing but old sellout." I said, "I might be a sellout, but I'm using that money they gave me to pay for groceries instead of food stamps."
Hell yeah.
I mean, why not have a little fun with it? It was a blast. I enjoyed my time in it. I don't miss it.
You know, I actually got to announce one show, and we had it in my hometown, Thompson, Georgia. A good friend of mine, Antron Brewer, he wrestled under the name Duh Fireman.
Duh
Fireman. And he was actually one of my explorers when he was younger, and I was on the fire department. And now he's actually a referee on NXT. But he would put on shows, and he put on really good shows. You know, for a town that had never had wrestling before, he put on some really good shows, and he got me to announce one time for him, and I had so much fun there. But I was, you know, I didn't do the greatest job. I was a stereotypic ring announcer. You know, kind of sounded like, let me see, what's the best way to describe it?
Kind of a little bit of a Michael Buffer with a drawl.
Kind of Michael Buffer with zero talent.
See, they were smart enough to put me down in the commentary position, so I didn't ever actually have to do the stand up in the ring and bring the people out.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be the color commentator, and I could just have fun because once they flipped me heel,
mm-hmm.
I flipped the switch and started ripping off Cornette, Bobby Heenan, whoever I could think of, and working that into my character, and I could piss people off at the drop of a hat.
Nice. Well, I tell you, I miss wrestling from when I was a kid. You know, I grew up in the days. You know, I grew up in the 70s. You know,
you grew up in Georgia Championship Wrestling days.
Gordon Soley, baby.
Yeah, you grew up with the dean of wrestling announcers.
Yes.
I grew up with Lance Russell and Dave Brown, and then when I expanded from from Memphis TV, I grew up on. I switched over to. It would be Jim Ross and whoever the hell they stuck out there with Jim Ross that week.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, Gordon Soley, even though God rest his soul, I understand the man had a lot of demons.
Yeah.
But he was, quite frankly, the voice of professional wrestling, in my opinion, at least through the 80s.
Oh, man, he was. I mean, just that, you heard that voice and you knew it was going to be Gordon Soley on Georgia Championship Wrestling. And it was, I do such a horrible imitation. I almost feel like editing that out, but I won't. It's bad, but he was just them pipes, and he knew how to do it. You know, he knew exactly
where to emphasize but he was always serious about calling the moves.
Yeah.
And how he understood the part of a commentator in helping to convey the story that was being told in the ring. And I don't think today's generation of announcers get that. They're more interested in putting themselves over on the announce desk than they are getting over the people that are in the ring.
Mm-hmm. You know, he was the first person I ever heard say the phrase "pandemonium in the ring." And when he said
pandemonium,
it was pandemonium in the ring.
And then again, I always loved how if somebody executed a move, and he would always call it a belly-to-belly suplex. He didn't say suplex. It was a suplex to Gordon Soley.
He was so awesome, you know.
And people getting kicked in the solar plexus. I'm like, where the hell's the solar plexus?
The solar plexus was I think they finally had the band getting hit in the solar plexus in Georgia because so many people did. He was so awesome.
Man, he was. That's the thing is these people today. Granted, I will give you this. I think AEW and NXT are starting to kind of get it right. NXT's getting it right as far as from the old school storytelling ways that you and I grew up. AEW's getting it right from an in-ring product, but their storytelling still needs work.
Yeah.
But when you got Cody Rhodes in charge of it with most of his daddy's old ideas, you know he knows what he's doing.
Definitely.
So. And they got the money from the guys that own the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're not hurting for cash flow. So, unlike Vince and the WWE, who aren't hurting for cash, but just released about 25 to 30 employees, and then turned around and signed the Undertaker to a 15-year contract.
Oh, I hadn't heard about that. Oh.
That's what you call locking him up so he can't go make appearances somewhere else.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'll tell you.
In the podcast world, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Have you heard about Joe Rogan's new deal?
Yeah, I saw that right before I started on my intro for this. Holy crap.
$100 million. And they haven't even specified how many years the deal's for.
Yeah. Yeah, but
he was like a holdout in going to Spotify.
Yeah.
Because he said they didn't pay enough. Well, apparently they do now.
Yes, they do.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, Spotify, if you're out there and listening, I'll do it for $1 million.
I'll do it for
I'm not even greedy. I'll do it for 100,000. I'm not even greedy.
I'll do it for $500 a bucks of tacos.
It's one of those things where they're paying Joe Rogan $100 million. He doesn't even need to work for the UFC anymore.
Oh man, like what was it? In the movie The Departed, when Jack Nicholson said, "I haven't needed the money since I stole Archie's milk money in the 3rd grade." You know, that's Joe Rogan. You know, one thing about him, you know, everybody says, "I want the Rogan numbers." They don't stop and think Rogan's been doing this from almost the beginning.
Rogan has been,
Rogan.
If you think about it, there were 3 big names when this really started. You had Rogan, you had Kevin Smith, and you had Adam Carolla.
Yep.
Those are the 3, as far as I'm concerned, podfathers of this business.
Nice. I've never heard podfathers, but yes. Well played.
I think Joe has done a better job of growing with the medium than Adam Carolla has. Kevin, I like Kevin stuff, but you know what you're getting when you get Kevin stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a fan of Kevin Smith, so I go into it listening, knowing I'm going to get some really stupid jokes. They're going to make a lot of dick jokes. Somebody's going to have some fun. There's probably going to be some talk about some butthole talk. So you just know what you're getting into, and you just prepare for it.
Yeah. Yeah, with Rogan, I mean, there's no telling. He may have Bert Kreischer on this episode, and tomorrow he's got the guy that invented the cure for toe fungus. I mean, he's so diverse.
Yeah, I mean, you can go.
He
can go from bringing on his comedian buddies to bringing on Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Although I honestly think Elon Musk just likes hanging out with Joe Rogan.
Who wouldn't?
I know I would. I'd love to go in that studio one time.
If someone told me, okay, you can go on Joe Rogan's podcast and you can spend however much time you want on there. He's going to take good care of you. But every 15 minutes, he gets to just cup his hand and smack you in the ear as hard as he can. Or kick you in the crotch at least twice during the episode. I'd be like, okay.
I can wear a cup.
Yeah, I mean, it's Joe Rogan.
You want to give me the exposure to his audience, I'll take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're right. That's what everybody says. I want to catch the Rogan numbers. And everybody that starts thinks that's what they're going to get. Then you got to look at it. Rogan's got 11 years of a back catalog, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Exactly.
You can't say that about most podcasters, especially those that are at our level or, below, or even the ones that are above us. But I mean, it's just the podcast game has become oversaturated.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
and I think that it's splitting the audience a lot. Yeah. But you have to do what you have to do to really keep that going. And I don't know at this point where the medium goes. And the big problem is, when are advertisers going to figure out exactly how this digital marketing and media works? I think that's the big drawback, and I think that's why you haven't seen a lot of advertisers that have not been doing more than just product swaps with podcasts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, I'll take a product swap all day long.
Oh, me and you both.
But
any liquor companies, gun companies, food companies, basically anybody's got stuff that they want a product swap, call me.
Yeah, me too. I'm actually going to be calling a distillery in Memphis tomorrow and seeing if I can work something out.
Nice.
So hopefully, maybe I can That's like my buddy, when I told him about that, the first thing he said was, welcome to Mattox's Bar and Grill. I said, yeah, the grill don't work, but the bar's fully stocked.
And if you have a good enough bar, the grill don't matter.
Exactly. You can feed them hot dogs. They won't know.
But the one good thing about the oversaturation right now is, I've been doing this since July. And if you go back and listen to my very first episode, I sat in my garage with a friend of mine who's also a comedian, and we talked for 2 hours. And it was a great interview. I loved that episode. There's a boatload of F-bombs. We were just all over the map. But we had fun, and it was good. I'm proud of that one. And, I've learned and started doing other things, and I've had some solo episodes where I've done maybe 10 minutes about something. And my interview skills have gotten better. It's making everybody step their game up some. If you want to stay relevant, you need to be interested and you need to be good.
It's a versatile medium, and I think that's what I like the most about it. For me, I was always somebody that thought my way into the pop culture lexicon would be I wanted to work in film. I wanted to write, produce, direct, do something along those lines. I never expected when I started podcasting to actually end up with a radio show.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you now that I have never felt more comfortable or at home with a job I have ever had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It is just enjoyable. I work with a good bunch of people. It's just a good time. And whenever the holidays roll around, like 4th of July will be the 9th birthday party for the radio station. And there's always a big shindig for birthdays. Then they do a big one at Halloween and another big one at New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm. For
New Year's Eve this past year, I called a buddy of mine that owns a craft beer shop. And because I'd seen he posted on Facebook where they had in the Miller High Life in the champagne bottles.
Fancy. That is the champagne.
It was actually in the size. It was the size of a champagne bottle, and you could get they were like $3 a bottle, and you could get. So I was like, okay, so a case cost me like $36.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, screw buying champagne and everything to pop at the radio station. We're not champagne people. We'll drink High Life, because that's what the boss drinks anyway when he keeps beer in the studio.
Yeah.
And so I called him and I'm like, look, I got a lead on a case because this stuff's in pretty high demand. And when I showed up to pick my case up from the store, the guy said, man, I'm glad you came. He said, because I could have sold this case 4 times today.
Mm-hmm.
Because it got real popular there, real close to New Year's Eve. And when when the new year rang in, everybody that was in the studio, instead of having a glass, we each had our own individual bottle turning it up.
Like I say, it is the champagne of beers now.
It's the champagne of beers.
Have you tried the PBR hard coffee yet?
I have not.
Dude, you need to find it and get some.
I saw it on shelves the other day, and I just stopped and kind of stared at it going, I'm not that adventurous.
It'll get you in trouble because it tastes like a Yoo-hoo with a little bit of alcohol in it. But I think it's like 6%.
It's kind of like a mudslide in a can.
Oh, dude, it's amazing. It is so amazing.
Well, I guess I could use a breakfast beer.
Oh, man. I've had more than one of them whenever I come home from work in the morning and it's been a bad night. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can imagine.
Oh, yeah. It's
now,
amazing.
Now, that's something we haven't. What is your beer of choice?
My beer of choice? Oh, I've always either been a Miller Lite or a Mick Light guy.
When you say Mick Light, you mean Mick Light or you mean the Ultra?
No, I mean Mick Light.
See, now I was a Michelob Light drinker, and it's almost impossible to find now.
Yeah.
I loved Michelob, but they messed up Michelob Light when they changed the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they went back to the curved bottle, it was not the same beer.
It's not. Whenever I believe if you have something that works, don't change anything on it.
Well, I mean, that was the whole thing about the advertising campaign for Michelob was you could reach into the refrigerator blind and know you were getting a bottle of Michelob because it was a different shape.
Mm-hmm. And
then they changed it. So when they changed it is when I started kind of experimenting with whatever was out there. And then, of course, the laws here changed a few years back where we were able to get some higher gravity beers.
Mm-hmm.
So I started hitting the craft beer shops and buying, just trying up different stuff. It got to the point where at one point I walked into the beer store, looked at the guy, and he goes, "What are you looking for?" I said, "Whatever's got the most knockdown power. Where is it?"
Now, I tell you, a little craft beer that will surprise you. I don't know if they've got it up there or not, but you can actually get it in grocery stores here. It's a little yellow can. It's called emergency drinking beer.
No, I have not seen that, but I want to try it now.
It is good. I'm not big on craft beers a lot of times, but that one is pretty damn good. It surprised me. I got it as a joke. I'm like, okay, emergency drinking beer. I'm a prepper, yeah. And me and my
in case of emergency, break cans.
Exactly. Me and my buddy were sitting in my cook shack back at home, and we were sitting out there one night and had a little fire going, and said, "I'm going to see what all I got in the fridge." And I had several different kinds of beers, and I said, "Let's try this one." And man, I was like, damn, I wish I'd have got more than a couple of these. It's pretty good.
That's always my problem. I find one that I really like. I'm sitting there going, shit, why didn't I buy more than one?
Yeah, and I'll never find it again if I don't, And
I've gotten lucky in that I've kind of fallen into a area now where I really like a lot of the craft beers that are coming out of Memphis, so it's getting to be a little easier to find.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one beer, and unfortunately they closed. It was, oh gosh, what were they? Pacific Sun or Sunco? I forget, but the brewing company was out of San Diego, and they made a beer called, I can't even remember the name of it. It was so good. It was an IPA, and it was 10% of beer, so 20 proof. And they had it. And it's probably my fault they quit carrying it in the grocery store that had it, because a 4-pack of it was $12, or you could do a build your own 6-pack for $6.99.
Mm-hmm.
So they had 3 4-packs. I walked out of there with 2 6-packs.
Nice.
Hey, I'm thrifty.
Modern problems require modern solutions.
It's not my fault they say build out of anything on the shelf. They ought to have a limit.
Exactly. You see, now, if I see something that says build out anything on the shelf, I'm going to have a 6-pack of briskets. You didn't say this shelf.
That's true. You said any shelf.
But I'll tell you, another one I like, a friend of mine introduced me to it. It's just a German beer. It's more of a type of beer than anything. I think it's called Hefeweizen, I think.
Ah, yeah. It's a kind of a crisp, almost a honey color.
Yeah. I was pleased by it because, I'm, for a long time.
If you get the wrong one, though, they're heavy on banana flavor.
Oh, well.
And I don't like banana in my beer.
No. And I'll tell you something else. I don't like Guinness. I know there are people out there that do, and there are people that's going to pull my man card for not liking it, but
they'd have to pull mine too. I don't like it either.
I don't like beer. I got to chew.
That's exactly what my rule is. Now I will cook with it.
Yeah.
But I will not drink it because it is too thick. Sam Adams, when the craft beer laws first changed, they put out a beer that was what was it? It was a Trappist Belgian. That was right at 10% because the max you can have in this state's 10.2.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, so I got a 4-pack of those from the craft beer shop. And I cracked one open and poured it into a glass, and I took a sip, and it was it had the viscosity of cough syrup.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I cannot drink this.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm of the ruling class that says if you buy it, you drink it, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I've had one or two of those. Oh man, we bought one. Me and that same guy bought one called, I think, Drafty Kilt Ale, just because the bottle was cool.
Yeah.
And dude, you remember when you was a kid, you'd put like a quarter or something in your mouth, that metal taste.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it tasted like, and I'm like, nope, ain't doing it.
Mm-mm.
Negative Ghost Rider.
No, big negative Ghost Rider. That's not the taste I want when I want a beer.
That stuff was nastier than farting in church. I tell you. Oh.
I guess that depends on who farted in church.
You ain't kidding. Oh, man. Well, man, we have been going for almost an hour. It don't feel like it.
No, it doesn't. I was just looking, going, good Lord, I thought we'd been on for like 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely going to have you back. I definitely want to be on yours.
Absolutely. We'll get that worked out. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll touch base with you on Friday and we'll get something worked out because that's when I do most of my scheduling.
That'll definitely work. That will definitely work. But man, I appreciate you being on here. I've had a ball. And we definitely going to have to get together and check out the bars.
Absolutely. This has definitely been fun. And considering you are in Georgia and I'm a Falcons fan, I think we might be able to make that happen.
Oh, man. I live 20 miles away from the stadium. And But
I will say this, Roll Tide.
Oh, man. Oh, shit. You're killing me, Smalls.
Listen, you took our defensive coordinator. It's the only damn reason you got into the playoffs the last 2 years.
Well, I'm not a Georgia fan either. I have no.
Okay, so I don't have to give you much grief.
Exactly. You know why y'all say Roll Tide, don't you? Because it's too hard to spell. Roll or go elephants. Yep.
The funny thing about the Alabama fans around here is how many people were stealing the Obama signs during the elections and turning them into Go Bama. I'm not ashamed to admit I had one in my yard.
No, I kind of want one now. And I'm not a fan.
I'm not. It's worth it just for the conversation.
Oh, man. Now, I tell you, I do have did you hear about their library a couple of weeks ago during all this bad weather?
No.
The roof collapsed in the library. I mean, every book in there got soaked and ruined. Got like all 4 of them, and 3 of them hadn't even been colored in yet.
Oh! And on that note, we cue the music.